We're right on schedule. With all your cooperation, I'd like to go ahead and call this meeting to order. County of Newell Municipal Planning Commission meeting for September the 25th, 2025. I see no empty spots around MPC, so no reason to excuse anyone. The minutes from our last planning meeting was September the 11th. How do you wish to handle them? Adina?
I move we adopt the minutes.
Okay. As circulated, all in favor of Adina's motion? That is carried then. Post-agenda items. Any post-agenda items to, seeing no hands, a motion to adopt the agenda, please. Neil. Neil moves to accept the agenda as circulated. All in favor of that motion? That is carried then. Item 6.1. Maria, you're the only one in this morning.
I feels lonely up here, I guess, today.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you. This is a development permit for the installation of a new 2025 manufactured home in the hamlet of Tilly. The parcel is currently vacant, and there are photos of the manufactured home included in your package. There is no variances being requested to the setbacks, and circulations have been extended to adjacent property owners. A manufactured home is a discretionary use, which is why this is being presented to MPC for a decision, and it is recommended that this be approved with conditions.
Well, thank you, Maria. Are there any questions on the application? How do you wish? Adina?
Is that a sea can that's on the lot right now? And is that?
Maria?
Our records indicate that it is a vacant lot, so I can't speak to what that is. If it is a sea can, they are not allowed within the Hamlet Residential District. So we'll make sure that that is rectified, if that's what it is. It could have been removed as well, because this photo is from 2024.
Okay. Old stock. How do you wish to handle the application? Lynette?
I'd make a motion to approve this with conditions.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? All in favor of Lynette's motion? That is carried then. Thank you. Maria. 6.2.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is an application for an existing accessory building, a shop. This parcel is located in near Ayamoto Acres, so southeast of the town of Bizano. Access from the parcel is from Range Road 18-1. The shop was constructed prior to 1980, which is why there is no development permit currently. That makes this building a non-conforming building, and the MGA does state that this building may continue to be used, but may not be enlarged, added to, rebuilt, or structurally altered. So what happened was an addition was put in after 2000, so it's a kind of a lean-to roof extension onto the shop, and they did not get a development permit for that. The landowner now is requesting a compliance report, and right now this property is non-compliant because of that overhang. So that is the reason for this request at this time. The development does meet the policy of the land use bylaw. They're not requesting any variances, and it is recommended that we approve, or pardon me, that MPC approve this request.
Thanks, Maria. And the way we announce it or pronounce it is a modo. Just, Holly?
Good morning. So is a compliance report like for the sale? Why would someone want a compliance report?
Maria?
Generally, it is for the sale of a property. So when a new owner comes in, you can request a compliance report to ensure that everything meets the requirements of the municipal policy so that they can add or change in the future. Another option sometimes people take is title insurance instead of a compliance report.
In this case, it is a sale. The owners are moving out of country, and a couple from Calgary have purchased. Just a little background. Ellen?
Maria, you just mentioned title insurance. Does that go through land titles, or does that go through our, through your department?
There's no municipal involvement in title insurance, so that's just between the purchaser and the buyer.
Any other questions on this application? So this brings them into compliance and allows the new owners then to carry forward. Arno?
I'll make a motion that we approve as per recommendations.
And Mike.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. Madam Chairman, I'll make a motion that we approve as per the recommendation.
Thank you. Any other questions, concerns? All in favor of Arno's motion? That is carried then. Subdivision 7.1.
Okay,
Maria will
now
take
I'm
that.
back in my wheelhouse, so give me all the questions. This is a subdivision of the Castle Cemetery, which is located in the southeast of 1915. So there has been a bit of a encroachment of the adjacent yard onto what is the Castle Cemetery. So they're proposing to subdivide the triangle portion. There are no graves or any sort of disturbance on that. That would be consolidated with the adjacent parcel. And then the cemetery becomes rectangular, a little bit smaller, and encompasses the necessary developments, I guess, at the cemetery. So there was consent received from the Alberta Government Director of Cemeteries. The conditions for their approval was that the county remains the owner of the lands. There's a clause that's on title that indicates that this is a cemetery, so that must remain on title. There's a requirement that the cemetery is fenced and continues to be fenced, that it's operated and maintained in accordance with the Cemetery Act, and that it is maintained in accordance with the Public Health Nuisance Act, nuisance and general sanitation requirements. This was circulated to adjacent landowners and required referrals. Alberta Transportation does not have any concerns with the subdivision. Alberta Health responded with some feedback that it generally follows what was given from the cemetery department. And there were no concerns raised by adjacent landowners. So it is recommended that this be approved with conditions, and municipal reserve is not applicable as there are no new lots being created.
Questions for Maria? Greg?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to approve this with conditions.
Okay. Amanda?
Just a little bit of clarification. Is it customary for hamlets or divisions to all have cemeteries, like, be allocated in their divisions?
Maria?
There are actually more cemeteries than I realized. And this is kind of that's a good question for Lane. I don't have those answers really.
Lane, do you want to come up and answer Amanda's question? Maybe how many cemeteries we do have in the county would be interesting.
You have more than you want to know.
Oh.
This actually is an interesting file. The county did not own Castle Cemetery for the longest time. It was owned by a defunct cemetery company, the Castle Cemetery Company. Because that organization was not filing annual returns or anything else, it was struck from the record, and it was a parcel that was basically abandoned and hasn't been managed by anybody. Because of that, and because of an encroachment that had taken place to the south, the decision was made that the county would acquire ownership. We had to go through a bit of a legal process to do that, and now the county is in ownership of this site and in a position to move forward with correcting some of the outstanding deficiencies that have been there for quite some time on this parcel.
So who is managing because there are management issues that have to be tended to.
Well, this cemetery is not approved for internments going forward. It's an inactive site. It will only be used for what it has been used in the past. The community organization in Castles has come forward, expressed interest in, and has put forward a plan for improving the site, installing fences, giving it the respect that a cemetery should have. And they will be looking after the maintenance going forward.
Nice. Okay. Thank you to those folks. Ellen?
Did I read this wrong? I thought it said it did not have any graves at this point.
There's no graves in the area that's being subdivided off. There is 2 different grave sites in the residual area. When I say 2 different grave sites, there was apparently 2 different denominations, so people from one denomination were buried in one section and the people from another in another section of the cemetery. We know that those are there, but there will be no internments allowed in the future.
Okay. Holly?
Approximately how many graves are there, and are they marked? Like, is there crosses for each one, or is there some unknown factor there as well?
We can dig, well, sorry, I didn't mean that. We can look into additional information on how many sites. I think it's in the neighborhood of 18 to 20 altogether. But yeah, there is some evidence of some of the grave sites. Whether we know where all of them are or not has yet to be determined.
Interesting. Yeah. So we'd have a subdivision application before us. Do we have a motion? We do. Okay, I thought so. And who made that motion? Arnold? Greg did? Thank you. All in favor of Greg's motion? Thank you. I was engulfed in the conversation. It's quite a large parcel, 2.62 acres for 18 to 20 sites. But thank you to the Castles community people who are willing to take care of that site and make it a green space and a nice looking space. Oh, it may not be green. This year it would have been green. Any other business? There was none identified. I'll skip ahead. There were no post-agenda items. Is there a reason for in-camera? Seeing no hands. Any questions, Catherine? Seeing none, we'll adjourn this meeting.
I'll suggest that we 10:20, take 5. Good morning, everyone. Let's call this meeting to order. County of Newell Council meeting for September 25th, 2025. Seeing that we're all here, there's no reason to excuse anyone from the meeting. We have the minutes of the September 11th council meeting circulated. Are there any errors or omissions or anything that needs to be changed? Or if not, a motion to approve the minutes as circulated. Holly?
I'll make a motion to approve as circulated.
Thank you. All in favor, please indicate. That is carried. Thank you. Are there any post-agenda items that need to be added today? Seeing none, a motion to approve the agenda. Ellen, all in favor? That is carried as well. Thank you. Are there any questions that anybody has online? Well, then we'll carry on to, we don't have any delegations this morning, so we'll move right on to item 7.1, Bylaw 2106-25, local improvement for the Lake Newell Resort Pathway. We're looking for 3 readings. Lane, if you'll just bring us up to date on that.
Good morning, Council. Yes, the Lake Newell Resort Pathway project is drawing to a close. Construction has been taking place and they're just finishing up the project. The next step is to move forward with finalizing the local improvement. In 2023, a notice of the local improvement and proposal to fund it by a local improvement tax was sent to all of the property owners in the hamlet of Lake Newell Resort. That was in response to a proposal that came forward from hamlet residents for the development of that project. With the project construction almost complete, it's time now to move forward with the debenture borrowing bylaw. After this is approved, then the next step is to give property owners an opportunity to prepay their local improvement portion or elect to have it financed over a period of 20 years. We're looking for 3 readings of the bylaw today, if council's in a position to move forward with that.
Thank you, Lane. Are there any questions? I have one quick question. You said the option to prepay is on an owner-by-owner basis?
Correct. There will be a notice sent to all of them outlining what the period is that they need to make their prepayment, and if they don't do that, then it diverts to 20 annual payments that appears on their tax notice.
Excellent, thank you. Ellen, go ahead.
Now, the interest rate is 4.46%. How was that determined? We could not have gone through the municipal percentage? No?
That is through the Municipal Finance Corporation. And it changed, well, if it is lower when we draw the debenture, then they benefit from that. But this is the rate that we were, they post their rates, and this is the rate that was in place when we drew the information last.
Okay, thank you. Any other, Holly and then Lynette.
I was just curious, under the Schedule A, you list addresses, and I'm wondering why more of them don't have municipal addresses. I don't know the area really well. Like some are listed, for example, Kingfisher Estate Drive, but lots are just blank. So why is there actually an address there?
Good question. I'll have to ask Shannon on that one.
Okay, thank you. Lynette?
I had to join the meeting first.
Oh, welcome.
So how does it show up on their tax notice? Is it a specific line that really lays out that that's what this is for?
Correct. Yeah, and it will reference the bylaw number.
Thank you, Greg.
Yeah, just an answer to Holly's question. I think that's the lots there are no houses on.
Is there a target completion date already for the work there? This is a little bit unrelated, but
I'm not sure what the date. Mark would be the one.
Yeah,
Mark
that's
or
fine.
Jeff would be the
We can
best
check
one to
later.
direct that to.
okay. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. Lynette?
So if there's no house on the lot, they still pay the same portion as someone with
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions or a motion for first reading? If Holly?
I'll approve first reading of Bylaw 2106-25.
Okay. Thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor that we approve first reading? That is carried. Thank you. Similarly, we'll move right to second reading. Kelly moves. All in favor, please indicate. Thank you. And then we need consent for third reading if we're going to do it on the same day. So Lynette moves that we consent to third reading. All in favor of that, please indicate. That is carried. And now we're at 7.1.4, third reading. Dan, all in favor of third reading? That is carried too. Thank you. Thank you, Elaine. Let's move to 7.2, Bylaw 2107-25, the land use bylaw for the text amendment for agriculture buildings. Maria, welcome and good morning.
Thank you. This is a proposed bylaw to update the land use bylaw to include policy for agricultural buildings. It is recommended that council move first reading and then we go into public hearing and circulation for the proposed policy. Development of agricultural buildings was discussed at the Committee of the Whole meeting in April, and council did give administration the direction to move forward with policy regarding the issuance of development permits for ag buildings. So historically, the county has not required a permit for development that is being exclusively used for agriculture. However, development still needs to follow the policy in the land use bylaw, including setbacks. If they do not meet the bylaw setbacks, such as requiring a variance or any other policy within the land use bylaw, then a development permit would be required. When we talk about this Alberta safety codes, building permits are not required for ag buildings. However, permits for electrical, plumbing, and PSDS is required. So despite the building code exemption, development permits are required by many municipalities to ensure compliance with the land use bylaw. So I would say it's maybe split 50-50 between the municipalities that I reviewed, who requires development permits and who doesn't for agriculture buildings. Buildings used for secondary processing of agricultural goods, commercial activities related to agriculture, or those with high human occupancy are not exempt from the requirements of a development permit or a building permit. Generally, county residents understand that ag buildings do not require a development permit and therefore do not contact the county prior to construction. We have noticed that this has led to problems with buildings and structures being built too close to road allowances, over top of utility easements, or too close to property lines. So incorrectly defining the development has also led to not applying for appropriate safety codes permits. So it is being proposed that all ag buildings and structures require a development permit. This will allow administration to assist developers with the process to ensure they are following the policy in the land use bylaw. It is proposed that ag buildings and structures be added as a permitted use to the agriculture land use districts. If the proposed development meets the requirements of the land use bylaw, a development permit can be issued within a 2-week period. That being said, if they require a variance, it becomes a discretionary use, and then it would be like it is now. They would have to go through the process and get MPC approval. So to more clearly define ag buildings and structures, we're proposing that updates be made to the definition of agriculture buildings and agricultural structures. Ag buildings would include shops, barns, and storage buildings, and agricultural structures would include grain bins, corrals, irrigation systems, and livestock structures. We are proposing that the development officer is able to make a decision on permits for agricultural structures with up to a 75% variance. So this means that grain bins, a pivot, or a livestock shelter that is proposed to be built adjacent to a road and requires a variance of up to 75% can be issued in that 2-week time period, but we will discuss it with internal departments, most specifically municipal services, to ensure that there is no unintended consequences with traffic safety and roadway maintenance on adjacent roads. It also gives us the opportunity to review irrigation systems and ensure that they're not irrigating over top of road allowances, and we can get that the road closure process going along with the development permit. I think that's about it. So one thing I think that's important to note is that agricultural buildings shall not have a human occupancy of more than one person per 40 square meters of floor area during normal use. So that is a definition that we got from the Alberta Building Code. And so we're using that here to distinguish between agricultural buildings and something that has a higher use. And I do think that it is important that buildings have a building permit when there are a lot of people in that building. So we also have a policy that says, should the use of an agricultural building or agricultural structure change, a development permit will be required prior to the change of use. So if someone builds a Quonset for tractor storage and now they want to change that building to clean and bag and sell carrots, let's say, prior to that change, they would require a development permit for an agricultural intensive use, and then they could go ahead with that. And alongside that, they would need the required building permits. Any questions?
Thank you, Maria. Have we estimated how much extra activity we're creating with a bylaw change like this? Like that, basically we're saying every pivot, every grain bin, every change of structure within an agriculture use all has to be permitted now. are we ready for that? Like, that's a lot of activity that I don't, like, to what end? What are we really, like, do we need to be more specific on maybe narrowing that down? Because, I mean, I suppose it would not include, say, portable or non-permanent structures like grain bins on skids or something like that probably wouldn't require it, or is that included as well? Go ahead.
Well, I think that's a great point of discussion. So anything on skids still really would require a development permit. Yeah, so I guess right now as it sits is that agricultural structures would require a development permit. That's something that's very easy to update based on how council would wish to proceed. If development permits should be required for ag buildings, and then agricultural structures could continue to be exempt from a development permit, so long as they meet the requirements of the land use bylaw. That's definitely a route that can be taken.
Okay, and excuse me, by asking that question, I realize that we had a discussion around this at Committee of the Whole, and we've asked for this to be, brought forward to us. But I think council has a is the why we're doing this urgent and dynamic enough to create the amount of additional activity that is going to be created by this relative to, because we do deal with non-compliance and that kind of thing on a fairly regular basis, but this, I expect it's going to start with a fair bit of activity that is non-compliant, because people don't even don't even think about applying for a building permit. And then how much is a building permit as well? What's the cost of a building permit? Go ahead.
I guess the first thing would be that anything constructed prior to this bylaw being adopted would be legal non-conforming. It stays the way it is. It's fine. From here on out, we would do an education component, and then we would expect that our numbers would increase. I do think that we can manage them as long as we're ready with checklists and, making sure that things can roll fairly quickly through the office. As far as fees, that is something that is on our radar to update with the schedule of fees. Right now, and I'm not sure that, I do think that this needs to change, but right now in the schedule of fees, ag buildings, permitted use is $300 and discretionary use is $600. Agricultural structures are not on the schedule of fees, so we would have to include that as well somehow.
Okay, thank you, Neil, and then Ellen, and then Greg.
What I like most about what you're describing here is, and I think it's important, is the pivots going on across county property. I mean, the way it's been before, just put them on, worry about it later. And we've had those discussions, and there are some abuses of that going on. So if you implement this right off the pop, everybody knows what they're getting into. It's all recorded. If we want to let them in, that's fine. But at least better than giving them squatters rates for going in the first time. So I like that part of it. The rest, I don't know.
Okay, thanks, Neil. Ellen?
Yeah, I can see your point about the pivots. I wonder if logistically, with all the structures, is this going to be a huge nightmare? I mean, there is a lot of structures involved here, and I'm thinking one grain bin goes up, and that would be, did you say a $300 fee for a specific, what do you call it again, a permit? Would that be $300 for one grain bin?
Go ahead, Maria. Yeah.
We don't have a specific amount for agricultural structures. So right now, agricultural buildings is that $300. Agricultural structures would be something we have to include. And I think if council decides to move forward with this, then we will ensure that the schedule of fees comes out, fairly quickly and adjacent with this policy. An update to those things in the schedule of fees.
Okay, thanks, Greg.
Yeah, and I think the intent of this would be for especially the buildings and things like that. That's where we've had the problems of items that are more on a permanent basis. I agree with Neil with respect to the pivots. I think a permit needs to be done for those, especially when they're running over a road allowance or something like that. That'll be caught at that stage. My thought on grain bins that are on skids, yeah, no, I don't think they really need to be, because if a farmer would have put a grain bin on a skid over top of the water, the regional water line or something like that, the ID fiber or something like that, that can be moved. That's not an issue. There's a bit of time and a little bit of money to do that, but not really much. It doesn't have a permanent nature. But the grain bins that do have cement foundations, yeah, that's more of an issue. We may need to fine tune this to where it's usable and workable with our ratepayers, and it'll create less headache in the future compared to what it is right now, for sure. So just some items in my thoughts.
Okay, I have some comments, but I'll defer them. Go ahead, Holly.
A couple of things. One is, when we talked about this, we talked about it being a voluntary process to start, to get people coming in to kind of get the idea of it. So I kind of like that idea. It is a cultural shift. It's the idea that it's your own land, you can do what you want. That's the thinking. So that takes time for people to change, and I think doing the voluntary as opposed to you must would have a better reception. With that, a couple things. When you're saying corrals, I don't think corrals, I mean, I understand the problem. Often corrals now are freestanding panels. It's not always what you're thinking with the wooden posts. So and corrals don't tend to move a lot, so they're already where they are. So I'm not sure that one really should be included. The pivots, I agree it's a problem, but the EID is already catching those and sending them over. So I'm not sure we need to, because now that we have the EID on side, we shouldn't have a problem. And if we want to, and like double stepping people, they have to come here already because the EID sent them. Is there a point to the permit if that's already in place? I don't know. That's a thing to decide. One other thing is the low human occupancy. I'm really not sure what that was getting at. I understand that's the definition, but farm shops sometimes are pretty much vacant, and sometimes you have 5 people working on one combine, or you have a farm meeting with a whole bunch of people. So I don't know if that's talking about like long-term use, averaging it out, but that definition doesn't necessarily work depending on the season and what's happening. It's not it's being used for intensive processing, it's just intensive fixing. So it's a different use. I don't know if that definition is going to be appropriate, and that's some of my thoughts.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? I tend to agree with the pivot issue. There aren't that many that are getting built that actually are encroaching on a current road right away. Most of the ones that have done that historically were because nobody was thinking about it, and it was identified as land that was just part of an existing existing parcels, where the road allowance, the same owner owns it on both sides, and we're getting past that. But I think with our arrangement with the EID, those are all older. There aren't very many that are new, and if that happens without our knowledge, that's probably as much concern to the EID as it is to us. So I'm not sure that the pivot is a very compelling argument. We're dealing with quite a few of those, but those are old situations that were prior to the current understanding of how we move forward without a development permit. So I would like to see consideration of two things here. Cost to the landowner, for one thing, an estimate of that before, and I don't know if before we move forward with this, and also cost to our to our administration, because this is not an insignificant change in terms of the amount of activity that happens out in the country that the situations where encroachments happen over existing infrastructure, that isn't, like, bylaws take care of that anyway. If that happens, excuse me, it's accidental, realizing that if there's, not always, but if, I'm not sure, like, how important is it that we police that? Because that's basically what we're doing. We're adding a cost to the landowner and to our own administration, and it's a policing, and I'm not saying that, kind of low key, but that's what it is. It's monitoring things. And how big is the problem that we are alleviating in the future on this? I generally, I don't think people cross those lines intentionally. There are exceptions to that, but generally not. And the long-term real issues that we've experienced on that as a council, I don't think are that exacerbating, unless I'm open to staff's reinterpretation of that. But I haven't felt like, we've created lots of exceptions, but that's kind of what we're here for in some ways. So that's my perspective. I think we need to be pretty deliberate and careful how we move forward on this. Unless we're doing it, providing these permits at no cost, but then we're absorbing the cost. Like we put a lot of effort into reducing costs to encourage economic development and that sort of thing. This flies in the face of that pretty seriously because of the cost. Dan, you had a question, and then pardon me, Kelly.
I don't look at it as policing. I think of it more along the lines of we're doing this as a community service. Everybody right now, well, not everybody, there's a lot of farmers that think, oh, it's farm, I don't need permits, and it's my farm, I can do what I want. But they don't realize there's an EID net or whatever utility is there underground, and they build their shop, and then we find out that you're parked on top of a gas line, and you can't do that. Now you got to tear the shop down. We could have saved them so much money and time by just telling them at the beginning, yeah, you can't do that because there's utilities there. There's whatever is going on. Do what you want to do, but just do it here and it'll be right. That to me is the community service. You can look at it as policing if you want. I don't see it that way. And if the pivots are not that big of an issue, then if it's not going to be happening much, it's not going to be a big time concern. It's not going to hurt us to have have the regulations and whatnot in place. I don't think. I'm in favor of this. I'd like to see it get through, and I'd like to get it to a public hearing to see what the people out there are thinking about it. I think the mindset needs to change.
Just to say, how many of those have we had? Like insisting that people have to tear down a building because, Matt, you got to.
Well, I think that's kind of the key question for council is, do you want to get it right from the outset, or do you want administration and council to be in a position where you have to be reactionary? Because currently all you have is the reactionary approach. So this year we've had a real beautiful ag shop built on top of our rural water line. There was no cost for a permit, but I can tell you there's absolutely a cost administratively for chasing that and getting it right. So those costs you're incurring them currently. You don't see it, but it's happened. We've had homes, buildings built on road allowances, and that's a tough conversation to have about, do you issue a stop order and have people tear stuff down? I'd far rather a situation, even if council chose, like on the cost side of things, it's within your purview to set a $0 rate on these things. And I don't think we're looking to make a buck off the ag community on it, but I absolutely believe there's a better world we can build in this community if folks come in and sit down with Maria and Channelie before popping up a potato storage too close to a road, or building their beautiful ag shop on top of our water line, which costs tens of thousands of dollars for them to relocate our water line.
thanks, Matt. That's the perspective I'm looking for, but also the cost. I think those are real issues that and I appreciate that, because absolutely it's easier to be proactive, but maybe there's a way we can do this without adding cost, because, and I realize that administratively there will be some cost, but still less than, and I guess, is there a way of quantifying that? Like, those are examples that, you're right, we don't see them, but you do. Can we get some, estimates on where that's been? Because it would help me to make a more informed decision, because I like the idea too of being proactive, absolutely, but I don't want to be careless about, what costs and implications we're having in terms of discouraging, and it doesn't necessarily discourage economic development, but if it's just adding cost without adding value, we need to balance that, and as you said, that's within our purview. So I wonder if we could get an estimate of that, just to educate our decision making a little bit up front. I'm not sure. Holly, go ahead. Oh, right. Sorry, Kelly.
I'm not going to sit quiet.
No, go ahead.
So, yeah, I mean, we need to keep in mind that this economic development topic of agriculture has been costing money by not being supervised or not being permitted. They have, that area has cost a lot of money over the years, and not just for this organization, but also for themselves. I like the spin that Dan put on it and called it proactive. It's an insurance policy basically for the landowner. So I mean, the cost will come. I mean, this is just the bylaw part. The schedule of fees comes separate, and then we can talk about the green, but, and whether or not there is a green. But certainly we need to have we need to bring the agricultural industry into the 21st century, recognizing that all this stuff underground is there, and that there is future planning and road widening and things like that that need to happen. So this is a process, and I think it's the right step going forward.
Okay, thank you. Holly.
Kelly, I think suggesting the agriculture community is not in the 21st century and we're not intelligent enough to figure out roads is an insult to all the farmers of the area. I mean, we do first call. I think my husband has first call on speed dial. Anytime I put something up, he checks everything to make sure, and we don't have any problems. I'd like to think the wide majority of agriculture producers care about this community and make sure they are checking things. There are people who make mistakes, and I don't think we're saying this shouldn't happen at all, but I'd like to know if water lines are included in first call, because most people do that. Most people do their best, and yes, we can do better, but I think I'd like to start from the thinking that everyone is trying to do the right thing for the wide majority of people, and how do we improve things, but come from it from an improvement, positive approach, as opposed to suggesting people are doing things deliberately.
Okay, I think my question was to quantify some of this, because I think the variances are the exception, not the rule. We don't hear the ones that aren't because they just happen. But but in terms of, I don't think we can accept that happens to everybody. The variances are the exception, not the rule, because I would agree that people don't do that intentionally in most cases, nor do I discount that sometimes that happens too. But it isn't unique to the agriculture community either. So I guess my question was, can we quantify some of that? Because I think that's useful for council to say, and I realize it's partly estimate, because we don't have permits for the ones that were not permittable in the past, but we can probably still make some estimate of that, so that we have a framework to say where these costs are, and no question, when there's variances that need to be adjusted, we need to look at what those costs are so that there's information and balance to how we're moving forward, not assumptions that might not be accurate. Dan, please, and then Matt, sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
I think the easiest way to get those numbers is to have a bylaw in place so that people have to do the permits, even if it was at a no-cost thing. I think that's how you're going to quantify this. Otherwise, what do? Send somebody out to check everybody's yard and then compare it and see? Like, I don't know how you would get those numbers other than have this bylaw in place. And yeah, what you were saying, Holly, farmers are trying their best. Most of the people that I've worked with in agricultural situations are trying their best. They want to do the right thing, and they absolutely do. I don't think there's any farmers out there intentionally building structures on water lines. They are doing the right thing, and they are trying as hard. This would just be us helping them make sure they get it right. This is not us fighting against agriculture for any reason. This is us working with our agriculture to make sure they get it right like they want to, and we want them to. I don't see this as adversarial in nature. This is complementary to what they're doing. I don't see any issue with doing this at all. As far as the price schedule and fee schedule, we definitely have to work that. I don't know how we would include that in a motion for this going forward, because those are two completely separate things. But we could do this with the intent, knowing that we are going to set a fee schedule, and that we are going to try to keep it as low as possible to make this work for our farmers.
Okay, I would agree with you, but I think we also can find a way to link these things so that when the communication comes out, they're one and the same. Like if we're going to do this, there's no reason why we can't find a way to link the cost structure with the decision to do it. And that's my concern, because I think we make ourselves look a little naive if we put this out there. Oh yeah, we're going to fix that in the future. We've heard that too many times, not from this group, but generally from government. So I just think we need to be really informed about the space we're operating in, and for all of our in defense of all of us, the great staff that we have that are going to take the front line of the concerns that are coming if we've looked like we omitted considering, and we're not. I think we're coming close to dealing with this the right way, but I think let's look for a pathway that links these in a way that the information and the communication going out is positive, and people say, yeah, it's exactly like Dan says it is, and we can all agree with that. So Neil, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't see this as policing at all, especially after the examples that Matt read off: a shop over top of a water line, house on a road allowance. I think it's proactive. I think it's great. And I really have a hard problem. Somebody's putting up a shop worth $500,000. Maria asked for $100 permit and they whine. Like, that's not an issue. It's just a very, very few bucks in the scheme of things, no matter what it comes out at. That's my call.
Okay, thanks. Holly, and then Ellen, please.
I would like to see some of the definitions cleared up a bit. I think that might create some difficulty. And I think it's really important that what you said earlier, that it only begins now. Like it's because I had visions of Kevin going out and assessing everyone's yard, and I was going, oh boy. So I was really glad to hear you say that. Yeah, and there needs to be a price for permits. That'll be a big discussion, but I don't think permits should be free.
Okay, thank you. Matt, you were, go ahead. Matt and then Ellen, yeah.
Yeah, I was just going to look for some clarification in terms of the work administration does to quantify. What I would suggest is administration could look at some of the current situations that are known where houses have been built right on a road allowance, as well as the recent shop built on our water line. We should be able to get costs. I don't know that the water line has yet been relocated, but that will be at the developer's cost to relocate. We could get an estimate on that, as well as, in my mind, to quantify it, we could advertise what value of improvements are at risk of council issuing a stop order and telling people to tear down their $400,000 house and removing it. Because that is the risk, that there are plans in the county's long-term development, whether it's on roads, water, sewer, and you built your property in the wrong spot. Like, I don't ever want to have that conversation with folks and ask them to tear things down.
Okay, thanks, Ellen.
Yeah, and I can see the point on major structures like that. I'm just a little bit afraid of opening up Pandora's box with going all across with all the structures and agricultural buildings. So, my opinion.
Thank you. Adina?
I think the idea of it's agricultural and it's my land, I can do what I want, is something up from the past, and we need to educate those that have been farming since the 70s and the 60s that, you know, things are different. It really bothers me when I come to a meeting and we have to give somebody permission because they said they were going to build something and now it's a riding arena and it wasn't what they said it was going to be, or it's too close to the road, or even earlier today, they built a lean-to onto their building and now we have to give them permission so they can sell it. I get really tired of that. So this is a way of making sure that, you know, some of our bylaws are followed. I don't have a problem with, like you say, big structures, paying, that way you're paying attention and you know that somebody's not getting their 16-year-old to wire the building or something. As far as first call, most things are included with first call except for the EIDs stuff. So you're looking at their lines and their internet. So there's nothing wrong with bringing your farmers into the 20th century, I don't think.
Okay, thank you. The fact of the matter is you can't put a significant, you can't disturb the ground significantly at all without a first call. Like you can pound post holes and that kind of thing, but even if you put those in the wrong place, you probably need a first call. So I think there's quite a bit of stuff in place already. But Neil, you had a comment.
No, Adina just covered basically what I was going to say. I'd like to vote on this and get it over with.
I still feel quite strongly that we need to connect our communication around cost and have that thought through, because the way that we're approaching this now, and the fact of the matter is most people don't pay attention to what we're doing here until we do the wrong thing. And I really want to resist that. Because when we do that, we erode their confidence in us doing the right thing. And they've put us here because we'd come, because they have confidence in us doing the right thing. And I think for our staff, it's important that from a policy basis, we have this thought through well so that we don't get, I don't want our staff to hear a bunch of concerns coming from ratepayers that don't understand what we're doing. So that means we need to figure this out, because the way it is here, if I wasn't paying attention, I would say, oh, well, the next grain bin I put up, I'm going to have to pay $300 to $600 to the county to skid it where I think it should be, and if it's not in the right place, I'll skid it some more. You know, that's a movable structure. So we need to think from the fact that agriculture producers are doing the right thing most of the time, but they're not paying attention to some of the minutia every day of the week. And if they think that we're just rolling over them, that they can just, you know, we're adding costs that don't add value, and there is value. And so I think we have, the message is there, because I buy into the fact that the cost of doing some of these big structures wrong is significant, and we need to be proactive on that. But on the other side of this, we need to make sure that we're managing, call it the politics if you want to, well, because that's our business. Maria, sorry, go ahead. And then Kelly.
So if I'm hearing this correctly, and I think that we can come back with some good numbers, which maybe we can include some costs from municipal services that include the pivot that was built right in the road allowance or right adjacent to a road allowance that flooded out the road and the costs associated with that, grain bins that were located too close to a road and now there's road issues on that. So those are all costs that were kind of that maybe should be included as information to council. I think that this could definitely be tweaked based on, what I'm hearing today. But the biggest point is that we need education and to tighten definitions, because if the community thinks agricultural buildings are exempt from a permit, well, then anything that they think that they're using for agriculture then doesn't need a permit, and that becomes pretty gray. And so I think we would rather have people come in, and we talk to a lot of people and we say, this is exempt from the land use bylaw. However, let me print you out a map. This is where the right-of-ways are. This is where 30 meters is from the road, just so you know. This is, and if you're within that, you still need a development permit. So I think that it's maybe more of a let us help you so that we can reduce the cost to the county in the long run. Pivots generally get an electrical permit or a gas permit, so we can pull some of those things. So these structures are coming to the county in some aspect already for safety codes permits. Another thing that we could look at quantifying is the time that we've taken to talk to people who have not come in for the right permits, and then it's not always a fun conversation to say, hey, I'm sorry, but you didn't do this correctly. And now, your walls are up and we can't see the electrical, but you still need to follow the policy mandated by the Alberta government. So, I think there's a lot of costs that are more than just issuing, the development permit from that sort of view. I think that was it.
Thank you, Maria. And I want to I'll come back to you really clear too. You've provided us with the information we asked for. I'm not saying we should have more information here today. We just need to identify if, for the purposes of going forward with this, there's more that we need before we go ahead with it. And I think that's a healthy and credible conversation. So the fact that we don't all see this the same way is not a problem. So I just want you to know I appreciate what you've brought to us, because that's what we asked for. There's nothing missing here that should have been here at all. So I had Neil and then Dan and then Kelly. You're good? Okay, Dan?
I got a quick question and then a follow-up. The quick question is, if this were to go to first reading, it does go to a public hearing. Thank you. That's correct? Okay, so then the follow-up is I would move that we give this first reading to bylaw 2107-25 to amend the land use bylaw 201621 as indicated in Schedule A.
Okay, thank you. Kelly? No comment? Holly?
My concern with that, Dan, was early on, remember we had that animal bylaw, which we sent to first reading, and there were parts in there that were not clear, and it did create a lot of concern. Although I'm thinking we're not that far away, I would prefer that we let Maria come back again with more information and some clarification. This is a cultural shift for the farming community. I'm not saying it doesn't need to happen, but I really would appreciate the effort to get it completely right, to avoid any more confusion on this. I just think we need a little more time.
Right now. I'm going to take Matt and then I'll go to Greg.
I totally agree with Councillor Johnson's sentiment that it needs to get totally right. Part of the process of getting a bylaw totally right is kicking it out, having the public hearing, having some open houses. There's going to be some chatter for sure. out in the community. And I think that part of the process, hearing back from the ag community, is absolutely key to making sure we get this right. What I've heard today around the council table is, you know, maybe the first step is the permanent ag structures, and we're not going to hyperventilate as much, or maybe I should use the updated definition, right? Ag buildings, and we're not going to hyperventilate so much about ag structures like a grain bin on skids that can be moved. That's not our main concern. So between first reading and second, you can massage some of that stuff. The public hearing will be key. I think we likely need to have an open house to give folks a chance to come in and let them know we really do want to hear from them to make sure we get the bylaw right. If council was anchored to their procedural bylaw, really first reading is, you don't do a lot of wordsmithing. First reading, you just get it done and you kick it out to the world and you start listening to the feedback. There is no urgency on the part of administration that we need to have this done in the next short term. So this can be a long conversation. If we need space with the ag community to get it right, we'll absolutely take the right amount of time to get it straight.
Excellent, thanks. Thanks.
Yeah, my opinion is, let's get the some of the wordsmithing done first, an idea of the costs first before we kick it out to the public. I know a lot of the grumbling will be with respect to the non-permanent structures, and I think a lot of people are understanding on the permanent structures. So let's get this fine-tuned by staff first before we kick it out to the public for first reading, is my opinion.
Thanks, Greg. I would agree with that. And just a question for how the fee structure fits into this, because I realize we can change that at any of our meetings. We can change the fee structure if we decide to. But how do we fit that in so that we're ready for, so that we've got a concept around this, that we're not trying to add unnecessary costs. And I think too, I'd really like to understand a little bit more about like some quantity to the cost that we, because it's real. So that's, the ones we don't see is just estimated. Anybody can do that, and nobody needs to. Like we can play that again. We know how many permits there are, and those of us in agriculture can estimate how many are built without a permit. So I'm not asking us to do a lot of work on the ones we haven't seen, but we have some fixed understanding of the ones that have been a problem relative to how many permits we do approve, right? Holly.
And just a clarification, Maria, like when I know what permits for the hall, it was based on square footage, but you're proposing for the farm buildings, it's just a flat, or is it looking at square footage? I guess that should be clarified as well, how that would work.
Go ahead.
Currently, it's just a flat fee for agricultural buildings. So that's really only anything that doesn't meet the policy of the land use bylaw. So we don't see that very often, not necessarily because ag buildings always meet the policy, but just because the word is that they're exempt. But that's something that we'll definitely look into. So, so what I think you're looking for is that there's a schedule of fees proposal along with the next iteration of this bylaw, and that we also include some stats. So you have some quantifiable data that we can take to the public and use that as a point of discussion for the reasoning behind this.
Yeah, I think so, but we do have a motion on the floor. So that we'll deal with that anyway. I've accepted that motion, so go ahead, Neil.
Yeah, I think we're overthinking this thing. Like, first reading just gets it in motion. We need the public's input to see what kind of reaction we're going to get. And all first reading does is let Maria gather some numbers and schedule a few farmer meetings. Yeah, I can't see any roadblock to this.
Okay, thanks. Holly?
Can I clarify then? Because if we're just giving information, what this current one says about needing the structures to be permitted, we're now saying probably not. So I think we're giving mixed messages. I think we're really careful that because we're talking about changing some things. So are we creating more confusion that way, Neil?
I think it would eliminate the confusion because we're not saying anything other than we may have an issue we have to deal with. Give us your thoughts and we'll give you ours. There's more that I've heard at this meeting, especially from Matt's examples, that indicates, yeah, we got a problem here. Might only come up every 4 or 5 years, but for a very little bit of money, and it isn't going to be a whole pile. We could solve it, and all first reading does is get the wheels in motion, get the conversation going. That's it. I think it's good.
Okay, I appreciate the comments from staff that there isn't an urgency to get this on the table immediately, and I think better information is good, and I think it shows respect for our ratepayers too, that we're trying to, I don't have an interest in inflaming them and having them come in, you know, irritated to our office. So if there's a way that we can head some of that off, I'd like to see us do it, and not to delay this unnecessarily, but if we've got some numbers today, we can't really, it's kind of subjective in terms of what we're talking about, and I think we can put a little objectivity to it that shows that we've got some real reason to move forward with this in a practical way. So, got a motion on the floor. Any other comments? Kelly?
Yeah, just recognize the process. We made lots of changes to our animal bylaw after first reading. We've seen it for years. We've massaged the bylaw based on the information we get from the public. Staff has heard our concerns. They've brought forward their thoughts and their collaborative effort to that end. So I'm voting in favor of this bylaw to bring it out to the public for discussion as per our usual plan and our usual process. There's nothing in here that is not discussionable or open for change. And that will be made very clear at the open houses. Our ratepayers will think and they will give us their opinion. I'm satisfied with the work that staff has done so far, as you are as well. But I would like this to go forward. It's going to take time. This is not going to happen immediately. We have to get the thoughts. Just my.
Okay, thank you, Kelly. Any other comments before we vote on this? Call for the question. Okay, so the motion is that we pass first reading. Pretty straightforward. All in favor, please indicate. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Opposed? Motion is defeated. Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you. So we'll see this again. And Matt, go ahead, please.
Well, with the defeat, I would look to council to provide administration with specific direction, what edits you would like to see come back from what Maria and her team have proposed.
Okay, thank you. Greg?
Yeah, I'd like to direct staff. I don't know if we need a motion for that. I'm thinking that we do. I'd like to make a motion to direct staff to rewrite this bylaw based on our discussions today.
Okay, thank you. Matt, go ahead.
So to get specific, is it enough to say agricultural structures do not require a permit? Just agricultural buildings, starting there.
Greg?
If you want me to be specific on the motion, it would be the points that you brought up with respect to agricultural buildings on such as skids, those type, and I don't know if we want to even go with fees. So skids, corrals, like items that don't have a permanent foundation. A permanent foundation does include pivots because they have cement foundations. So I'm saying things that are a non-permanent nature.
I think that's good clarification because that's right. Things that, and there's an increasing amount of agriculture activity even around corrals and that kind of thing that are not permanent structures that we drive ourselves crazy trying to permit them every time they're moved, and we don't want to do that. So I think the permanent structure part, and you know, the portable, movable structures I think are tough for us to go ahead on because they're very easy to move, and so they're going to move, and we don't really have an interest in knowing when that happens. But things that have a structure in the ground or a foundation in the ground, I wouldn't take anything off the table there. But I think also, is there a way of us expressing the fact that we're looking to, here are some of the costs that we have incurred with errors in this area, and that we're looking to keep the costs reasonable both for ratepayers and for our administration. And I think we can we weave that into it so that the way this hits the public is, we still want to hear from people, no question about that, but we also want them to know that we've kind of used our experience on how we've approached this too. So, Greg?
Yeah, I think that comes as part of it. Arno is the work that the staff were doing with respect to the costs that are going to be we have incurred. That'll be part of our next, whenever this comes back to us. Those things will hopefully be prepared for us, so we have a better idea. But the motion is the non-permanency side of it. That should be stricken off of this bylaw. For now, that's what my recommendation is and my motion.
Okay, is that good enough information relative to the motion? Maria, you're good? Okay. Ellen, please.
I would like the motion be read out loud.
Okay. Greg, how did you?
Okay, Matt, can you help me with the wordsmithing of this, please?
I think what we heard was that this will come back to us, you know, reflecting some of the conversation that we've had today, specifically that non-permanent structures will be exempt from the permit. Yeah.
And a schedule of fees will be
and
brought as well.
Yeah, potential, a possible schedule of fees that reflects our effort to try to be efficient both from an administrative and a ratepayer's perspective. It's probably not all in the motion, but
we've got it.
You got it? Okay. Is that good, Ellen? Any other questions? All in favor, please indicate. Okay, opposed? Okay, that's carried. Thank you. So this is moving forward. Thank you. Thank you, Maria.
Okay, I have bylaw 2108-25, which is a proposal to amend the land use bylaw to update policy for solar freestanding. This bylaw also provides updates to setbacks to subdivision roads in all land use districts. So far this year, the Municipal Planning Commission has approved 11 development permits for solar freestanding developments that were larger than the required than the requirement in the land use bylaw, which made them discretionary. So that increases the timelines for development and means that MPC reviews and approves. All of those were approved by the Municipal Planning Commission. And of those 11, only 3 required a variance to the setback. So what administration has been seeing has been a change in how solar has been developing since we completed the land use bylaw in 2021. So we are now recommending an increase to the allowable size of solar freestanding installations to better align with the scale of development currently occurring within the county. The potential impact onto neighboring properties of a freestanding solar installation is, in administration's opinion, comparable to other forms of development on that parcel of land. Accordingly, we are proposing that the maximum permitted size for a freestanding solar development be consistent with the maximum size of an accessory building permitted within that land use district. So on an ag parcel where all required setbacks can be satisfied, a freestanding solar development of up to 930 square meters, which is about 10,000 square feet, would be considered a permitted use. If the required setbacks or policy cannot be met, the proposal would be treated as a discretionary use and circulated to adjacent landowners and relevant internal departments for review and comment. So some of the comments we've heard at Municipal Planning Commission and from adjacent landowners is traffic safety, glare, things that can occur when solar is placed on an adjacent parcel. Talking with administration and with research, having done research, the 30-meter setback that's currently in the land use bylaw should not impact traffic safety. There's also existing policy in the land use bylaw regarding glare and undue glare. So those concerns, I think, are already met. We're also recommending an update to the setback to a subdivision road, and we've discussed this previously at Municipal Planning Commission, but currently there is no distinction between an internal subdivision road or a higher traffic township or range road within the business rural district. So this greatly reduces the developable land within a business subdivision such as Martin Subdivision or Jackson Light Industrial, where the setback is 30 meters from a subdivision road. As a comparison, the setback for a subdivision road in a residential rural district such as Westland Acres is 6 meters from the property line. So in order for developers to maximize the developable area on a parcel that has access via a local subdivision road, administration is proposing a 10-meter setback. And that number came from discussions with municipal services. So it is recommended that first reading be given to this bylaw.
Thank you, Maria. Are there questions? Adina and then Holly.
My question is there proof that glare really is an issue? And the other one, the only other comment I would make is, as long as traffic can see around the corner or whatever, I feel like this is a good step forward.
Thank you. Holly and then Lynette.
My comment was somewhat similar. I'm just wondering, is there anything we're missing? It seems we've seen the lease come forward. We haven't had a problem with them. I'm just wondering, is there any issue that we could come forward? Like visibility is covered, so there's nothing else that could be a problem? It sounds like a dumb question, but I'm just wondering if there's something we're missing here.
Not intentionally. Go ahead, Lynette.
I was thinking along the similar lines, like does Alberta Transportation have any criteria when the speed limit is this, you need your sight lines to be this, you know, kind of thing, and is that kind of what we're following, or?
Go ahead, Maria, please.
When we created the land use bylaw, Alberta Transportation was consulted. So the current setbacks for any development is 30 meters from a road. And if it's adjacent to a highway, then they also need a roadside development permit from Alberta Transportation. So whether it's solar or an accessory building or a house, that has all been kind of baked into the current land use bylaw for safety.
Thank you. Follow up? Yeah.
So just to follow up to that, like, for example, in the light industrial subdivision, what is the speed limit in there? They should be driving 50, so that changes what your setbacks need to be when the vehicles are driving that much slower, right?
Right. Thank you. Kelly, go ahead.
I'd like to make a motion to approve first reading.
First reading. thank you. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion, please indicate. That is carried. Thank you. And basically, just for comment, I mean, there's a number of these that have come to either MPC because those will be approved now with, if this goes forward, right? Yes. That we're just over the threshold. Yeah, go ahead.
This should reduce the number of permits that need to come to MPC. So we're reducing red tape and making things easier.
Thank you. That's great. Thank you. Pardon me? Buzzword. Yeah. Thank you, Maria. We are now to administrative business, right? Thanks a lot, Maria. 8.1, insolvency and property tax receivable proposal. Lane, welcome back. Oh, you know, can we take 5 minutes? Yes. That was pretty popular. I haven't been. In 8.1, insolvency and property tax receivable proposal. Lane, welcome.
So we're in an unfortunate situation where we're caught kind of between a rock and a hard place as to what the options are on this particular one. There is, I would use the word assets loosely here. There is pipeline and well sites that aren't being utilized right now. They were shut in, owned by a company that has gone into receivership. We were hopeful that there was going to be some way to recover some of the taxes owing through that receivership process. There's only one buyer that has stepped forward and expressed interest. The condition is that they are able to assume the assets without any of the tax liability that goes with the properties. This company has facilities in Wheatland County as well. We have been in contact with Wheatland County. They have made a decision to move forward knowing that we're in a similar situation, and we're recommending that we basically take the same approach that Wheatland County has done with their decision that was made here, was it last week, Matt, or the week before? Just recently, though. So anyhow, the recommendation is that council approve basically writing off the tax that's owing on these accounts, and that we enter into an agreement with the purchaser that has stepped forward that would require them to make payments on a prorated basis for 2025 and make their payments in 2026 going forward, and that's when the taxes would be written off. The taxes that are owing to this point.
Okay, thanks, Elaine, and you'll recall we had a discussion about this at our last meeting, and we've got some more due diligence on it, and that's reasonable. Questions? Lynette?
So they wouldn't be written off until they were fully paid up to 2026. The structure that gets set up, they have to be to 2026, otherwise those taxes stay sitting on their docket.
They will remain on their account until the 2026 levy has been paid.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Oh, Lynette.
So is Wheatland the only one that's actually kind of dealt with this? Is this the only other county that we have some idea of how to move forward?
Well, there's many rural municipalities that are in a similar situation. There's probably a variety of outcomes in each of those situations where some have taken different positions. It could be. Good question.
Okay, thanks. Matt, go ahead.
Yeah, so the way this sale of Prospect oil and gas assets to this proposed purchaser was framed for us from our legal was it's a shotgun sale. So the decision is this purchaser is willing to take some of these assets, spin them back up, operate them. That would be to the future benefit of the county in terms of revenues coming in. There is nothing out of the sale of Prospect assets for literally anyone. There's zero. This purchaser is offering a nominal amount, conditional on all arrears being written off. It still has to be approved by the energy regulator. The situation we're in Alberta is due to a regulator who has not regulated oil and gas companies timely enough. Typically, tax arrears, if you're on a residential or a commercial property, we get you after a couple of years. And there's typically always value left in the property that we can put up for tax sale, settle the taxes, give the excess to the owner, and everybody moves on their way. The trouble with oil and gas is there's reclamation liabilities, and you've got the AER and the Orphan Well Association who have a super priority when it comes to an insolvency process. They're going to get paid before municipalities get paid. I think the estimated reclamation for Prospect oil and gas assets is somewhere around $2 million. So you take the $2 million that somebody needs to find to reclaim these things, the purchase price of $1, there's not much here. This is the ongoing conversation with the Ministry of Energy, Municipal Affairs, RMA. We had a Property Tax Accountability Strategy Group meeting this morning, and I think the eyes are wide open that regulation and movement needs to happen a whole lot earlier in the process so that you've got some value in the assets. You're not just transferring a liability. But administration would recommend council provide the direction to enter into that tax agreement for the future benefit of additional tax revenues. And 44K is what we've estimated these assets should generate going forward, which is not insignificant. I mean, you pull that kind of money out of an entire hamlet, right? So it's a big deal to get those funds.
Okay, thanks, Matt. Neil?
Yeah, I would agree with that. I don't think you have any choice other than 44K is 44K, so it's either that or nothing.
You making a motion?
Yep, I'm making the motion to accept that.
Thanks, Kelly. Is that where you were headed? Thank you. Any further questions? Yeah, option one. Yeah. All in, and thanks for the additional information. I think we had questions that have been answered, so that's good. All in favor, please indicate. That's carried. Thanks, Lane. Councillor payment sheets 8.2. Do we have a motion or any comments? Greg.
I'll move those.
Okay, thank you. All in favor, please indicate. That's carried. Thank you, and thank you to the group that reviews those. That's big work. Let's go to yeah, there's two motions. Sorry. That was for July. Could we have a motion, Holly, a motion for August?
Yes, I'll motion acceptance of the August compensation.
Okay, thank you. All in favor, please indicate. Oh, sorry. Comments, questions?
Yeah, we looked at the sheets and I was trying to get them into Ariana in time. So there are no changes recommended on the August timesheets.
Okay.
What I looked at, what discrepancies I saw were difficult to tell if they were actually discrepancies or just some people were there longer than others. So I didn't find any changes. The other two members did find some potential changes. So we don't have anything recommended in here, but I would actually motion that we table August timesheets for next meeting, just to make sure that we do have it right.
Okay,
But
I have a
there's already
motion
mo-
on
yeah,
the
there's a
floor.
motion on the floor.
And,
Can I,
There's no review there.
yeah,
So you can't make the motion to accept the review because it's not there.
okay.
did you withdraw that?
Well, there's a motion here to which I made because it said motion to accept. So I will amend my motion that it be tabled to the August, this motion be tabled to the August, sorry, the first meeting in October. It's not August anymore.
Okay, so the motion is that it be tabled to the next meeting. That's, okay, thank you for the clarification. And again, I repeat, thanks to the committee that reviews these, that I really appreciate that. Okay. All in favor of the motion, please indicate. Okay, that's carried. Thank you. Municipal Services. Functions of council. Function, yeah. Didn't have my glasses on. Functions of council. Are there any requests for functions of council? Greg.
Yeah, there's a Brooks Leadership breakfast at the Heritage on Wednesday, November 5th at 7 a.m.
November 5th?
Yeah, Wednesday, November 5th at 7 a.m. I'm wondering if that could be a function of council, and I'm wondering if you're speaking at it, Arnold.
Who's hosting?
I believe it's the chamber.
Oh,
I think it came through the chamber.
has there been an invitation?
I got one.
Matt, I don't. Yeah, they're probably waiting.
Yeah, I think that one is senior administrative leadership that the chamber's putting on. Let me just pop it open here. Yeah, Doug Lagore, Matthew Fensky, Sharon Zacharias, Amanda Davis, Yvonne Kosh. So you're going to hear from admin.
Okay, so you're making a motion that that be a function of council?
Yeah, I guess, did everyone else get it, or it was just me because I'm a member of the chamber?
I
Oh,
think
did we all
got
get it? Okay.
We got it.
Yeah,
I wasn't sure about the other.
I make a recommendation that it's a function of council.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor? Okay, that's carried, thank you. Any other functions of council? Seeing none, we'll move to municipal services business. Welcome, Mark.
Okay, welcome. Great to be here. Wasn't planned to be here, but my staff are busy. So today we have Bridge File 77009 and Bridge File 76829. We are seeking that Council award the project to Bullen Construction Company Limited for the tendered prices. These bridge files are on the annual inspection program on their regular cycle, so it is just a just-in-time methodology when bridge files come up. It's all based on their current condition, and this is the direction that we've always been working with. So looking for the motion, or I'll do my best to answer any questions if there's any.
Thanks, Mark. Questions? Holly?
Does this mean that it actually is coming in lower than the approved capital budget? Because the way it's broken up, I'm not really sure if I'm reading it right.
Yes, the low bidder is below the $856,000 that was approved in the capital budget.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Ellen?
So Mark, so the engineering cost on this one file is 214,000?
No, the engineering cost is in total, I believe. Both files.
Thank you. Any other questions? Anyone prepared to make a motion? Lynette, please.
I'll make a motion to accept option one.
Option one. Thank you. All in favor, please indicate. That is carried. Thank you. Committee reports. City of Brooks Recreation Parks Board. Craig and
Yeah, Neil and I were at this meeting here last week, and there was a discussion from it that we reviewed the bylaws from this committee, and this stemmed from a conversation that was had or a decision that was made by the city of Brooks that the rec committee was not been given the opportunity to make a recommendation on, and it involved recreation. So we wanted to review the bylaws to see exactly what where our committee is with respect to recreation and the decisions that the city makes. And yeah, we are a vital part of those decisions with everything rec and parks. So because four of the members of that committee are county related, we need to be able to, and this is our only voice to be that we can make to the city council for any decisions that are made on a recreational basis. So we need to be given that opportunity to make a recommendation from our board. So we wanted to make sure that city council, it was loud and clear that decisions for rec shouldn't be made without some kind of discussion at the rec table. I think that's what we came across. Neil?
Yeah, you got exactly the one point of order that we dwelt on was that our committee recommends something, it goes to a town committee and then to town council. It can be passed, but it doesn't have to come here. And we put in a little more money than to be treated like that. Like, we just want the same for this board, this council, as they do for the town council. And I think we'll get it.
Yeah, I think so too. That we want to just send the message. We have a new director of recreation and protective services in Brooks, and that's Mark Schultz. And he was at the meeting and was introduced. We need still 2 county members at large. I think we have one that's in the process of being added on, but we do still need someone. If there's someone that wants to sit on this committee, if you know of anybody, we need county representation on this board. And finally, we are looking at setting up a visioning workshop for this Parks and Rec board so that we are in tune with future projects that are coming from the city of Brooks and what's important to our rec board as far as facilities and what we want done. So we'll be doing some kind of visioning workshop in the next little while. So that's the report.
thank you. Any questions? Lynette?
I just wanted to make sure you clarify that the county reps you need are from Division 5 and 10.
I think they're county members at large. I don't know that they're required from Division 5 and 10 specifically. So I don't know that 100%. Matt, do you know of that?
Matt?
Sorry, I'd have to refer to their bylaw.
Yeah, we can check that. Neil?
I think that 5 and 10 have to be on there, and the other 2 are wide open. And they probably should be, because the rest of the county uses all these facilities.
Yeah, it reflects the general use of county residents.
Exactly.
Okay, good. Yeah, okay. Good for that. Let's go to Brooks Regional Tourism. Adina.
My report is that there's no report because our meeting last week was postponed because it didn't work well for Jamie. So we are having our meeting next week on the 30th along with our AGM at the same time because that has to be done by the end of September. So that's my report.
Thank you. Lynette, Newell Library Board.
Okay, County of Newell Library Board, we meet next week, but I just wanted to throw it out there that we do need someone for the GEM area. We're looking for representation from that area. Should I continue with the rest?
Pardon me?
So should I continue with the
Sure,
rest?
yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So, and then the Shortgrass Library Board, we We always have a traveling meeting in September. So our traveling meeting was to come to the Brooks Library. So we got a tour of the library. She also took us out into the JBS Canada Centre just to show off everything to all of our visitors. Not much going on that board other than we've had to do some, at the Shortgrass office in Medicine Hat, they've had to step up their security and their cameras and everything. There's been some issues. Okay, and Newell Recycling. I went to the Alberta Care Conference, which I haven't actually written up my report yet for, so I will send that out to you all later. But as far as the Recycling Association here, we still have a lot of unknowns as to how the EPR program is going to play out. We have the funding from Newell Regional Solid Waste has changed up a little bit. They want to see lists of maintenance things that we would like to do before passing along the money to take care of them, which I think is logical. So Doug was getting a list together of priority things that we need to fix in the building, etc. We went to the SPEC AGM, Adina and I, so look forward to that, more of a report there too. But they are also looking for board members. So anyone, they could have 8 more board members. That's how short they are on that board. So putting that out there too.
Thank you. Do you want to do the SPEC AGM report right away, or is that it? Kind of.
I didn't have anything else actually written up.
Okay.
I did bring the annual report. Kelly has it right now if anybody wants to take a look at it. I don't know if there's a question right now that you might have that we could answer possibly, but other than that, that's all I had.
Okay, thank you. Joint services, Kelly.
I was just going to let everybody know that we've had our last ever joint services meeting. It was held September the 9th, historic moment. The new agreement does it come back to us, Matt? No? Signing. Okay. So the new agreement takes place that our municipality endorsed first of all, and now it's gone to all others. Yeah, okay. So we're all in on the changes, and that outlines quarterly meetings. All municipal partners are invited to those meetings quarterly. There'll be presentations on mutually interested organizations. These presentations will be something that reaches far within our region for everybody. So other than that, I think that is it for joint services. Adina and Lynette were both there. Did you want to add anything?
Okay, I think that's good. Thank you. And I think it also deals with a few that, including the fee structure and that kind of thing, which I think is one thing that we have discussed from time to time. So that's all taken care of. That's good. Thank you. Let's move on to Newell Regional Solid Waste Management Authority. Neil.
Okay, I've got an unbelievable announcement. It's a press release. It's going to be released tomorrow. You'll all get a...
Do you want to preempt it or not?
No, I'm just going to tell you.
Though it's coming. Good enough.
Be ready. It's coming. This is a big deal. It's the end of all that SAWA maneuvering and all that stress has finally come to fruition. I'll read you a portion of it. It says, Global Green has a vision for the future. The investment is designed to be a teaching and research facility, not only in terms of waste engineering, waste diversion, pyrolysis, but by applying different technologies. If research proves successful, the potential to mine existing municipal waste cells for feedstock may also be possible. It's absolutely fantastic, and it's so fantastic that I, fingers crossed kind of thing. But it's a really good news story. This council can take a lot of credit for where we're at, or if it wasn't for $150,000, this thing would never have come about, and you all supported it, as it turned out to be a very good move. So, yeah, I couldn't have a better report, and couldn't be happier to be, the next topic would be SEWA. I'm out of SEWA. They threw me out. I'm happily gone. It's all good, guys, 100%.
I haven't been invited for 2 months, so I guess I'm out.
Okay, I think
We did
that's-
this all by ourselves. Like, this is coming through. We're going to emphasize, don't need any government grants, never even asked for one. 44 people employed, teaching facility, which means they may want to partner with the college for some room. It's this council's crowning achievement if we can pull it off. So, way to go.
Great news, thanks, go ahead.
Just thanks to both Kelly and Neil for the time you spent on SEWA. And Neil, I know that solid waste has been a challenge sometimes, but good work.
Yeah, no, this is, I think, really a testament to perseverance without blowing our wad, kind of. I mean, we came to the table with some resources, but we were patient enough to get a good result that actually is good for the province too. I mean, I think your comment about not looking for a big subsidy or grant to get things going is pretty good news. Yeah, thank you.
And the way this council stepped up with 150,000 is kind of like other projects. We put ourselves out there. We could have lost that in a heartbeat. We took a chance and it paid off. And that's what risk is all about. Yeah, I'm proud of it, to tell you the truth. Proud of the whole thing, so.
Thank
cool.
you. Good. You did short grass already as part of, yeah, so that's done. Okay, SEWA's done. Zano Rec Board, Kelly?
Yeah, just to mention that we met last night it was last night, and we are recommending a 2% increase. So, Matt, if you could reflect that in the budget proposal, that would be awesome. It's a $1,000 increase to the County of Newell, so. Other than that, we went over the policies for next year's funding and made a few adjustments. By that, I mean including historical and museum into the cultural side of the recreation. So just some wordsmithing and tweaking that way. Otherwise, status quo.
Great, perfect. Thanks, Kelly. I put down commemorative forest ceremony yesterday. That's not a committee, but I attended yesterday on behalf of the county. First time I'd been there. It's a good event and great contribution to the commemorative forest and what's out there. Adina reminded me that she was there last year and spoke for the county. Thank you for that. You learn something every day if you're paying attention, right? So thank you. And that was an excellent thing if you get an opportunity to go in the future. It's well organized by Communities in Bloom and supported by the City of Brooks Parks and Recreation, and then a couple of other sponsors from the community, so.
And there's some really cool trees down there too.
Yes, yeah, that wouldn't be there if this has been going since about 2012, I believe. Yeah, Neil sees it every time he walks around Lake Stafford, but yeah, okay. I think that's it for committee reports. Post-agenda items, there are none. So a motion, oh, sorry, Amanda, go ahead.
This is actually for Adina. The Newell Tourism, their AGM, I thought it was October 2nd.
Yes, you're right. I got that wrong. It is the 2nd. It's supposed to be, you're right. It was supposed to be done in September, but it's the 2nd because that's what we're.
Thank you.
Say we'll move forward. Any questions out there? Nobody here to ask any, so I think we're good. Let's, a motion to move in camera. Amanda, all in favor, please indicate. That is carried. Thank you.